The quick Christmas book because why not? The next book hasn't dropped yet. I believe this is the latest one that is currently out. Stay tuned for the next one. Okay, Sleigh Bells. That's the one we're gonna do. I call myself doing Christmas in July. However, we're kind of in August, but whatever. I'm over it. And there's so much Hello Kitty happening in the world. So many major announcements about Hello Kitty. You guys are like, what are you talking about? Well, I'll show you, or I'll tell you. But anyway, we're doing Sleigh Bells right now. And I'm going to zhuzh this one a little bit. So I want Hello Kitty to be the focus right here. I think it's going to be so cute. But I think I'm going to change out this border because I don't want Hello Kitties right there. I have decided. So let's do it. Let's give this one a zhuzh. Sleigh Bells, here we come. This is one of the holiday ones and it should be a good time. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. We're going to use this as fabric number 1. I think I want the background to be blue. So blue is going to be my number 2. And then this beautiful red is going to be my number 3. And then I think I'm going to pull in some of this color for the border. We shall see when I get there, and then bind it in black. And I feel like that is going to be uber Hello Kitty. Oh, so excited. I'm a Hello Kitty girl. Love Hello Kitty. Let's get into it. So for this, there is one strip that you're going to cut. And then I have so much excess. Oh my goodness. Because I'm not going to do the border. I just don't want a super duper busy border for this. I think I'm making the right choice. This is going to be such a cutie patootie. I might actually let my quilter finish this one because I think it's going to be such a cutie patootie. I think I might finish this one. I have done another Hello Kitty in quilt because, you know, I do the things. I love to do quilts around fandoms. But for this one, I'm going to do my cut and then I'm going to fussy cut for funsies. Let's see how that works out. If you've never seen me fussy cut, I think it's pretty cool. I usually tape off the area that I need to fussy cut. And then I find that center and then have just a good old time trying to figure out where everything is going to go and where it's going to be. And this is another way to give your quilts a zhuzh. Now, again, I'm always really funny about how I zhuzh them just because sometimes people don't have additional fabrics, but I don't know why we're quilters. We certainly have an abundance. We are abundant in this way. But I try to be mindful of that because when I'm using Tula Pink fabric or K fabric, I understand that that is $14 a yard fabric and you might want to be a little frugal about that. So I do try to take that into consideration sometimes. But this one, we're going to use up some fabric and hopefully I can do this with scraps. Like that would be so cool if I could just do this with scraps. So I just marked off my little area here and now I'm going to roll it all around this fabric and see what I can get. See if there's cute stuff that I can capture. As I look at this fabric, I see some cute elements and it doesn't have to just be Hello Kitty. Like maybe I want to get this little lunch pail. Like the lunch pail is kind of cute. We're going to get one of her in the bag and I need 6 of them. If I were willing to use some of that other fabric, I see that she's on a bicycle right here. Maybe I will. I don't know. But first, let me just do I know I can get here we go. I know I can get one of her really good. So I'm just looking for the center of this area right here. And I feel like I can get her really good. I'm making sure that I have a 1/4 inch up here. And I don't mind if I cut off a little bit down here, but I have a 1/4 inch there. She's going to be my focal. Now I'm going to look inside this square. I know that the half mark is right around here. And I'm not trying to make this an exact science, but that looks good to me. And now I'm going to cut just like that. I'm going to cut this away. I'm going to cut the top off. Then I'm going to take this, rotate it, and sit it right in that square, right in that L shape, and then I'm going to cut it again. And there I have a fussy cut little Hello Kitty in the bag. All right, now I've got to do that 5 more times. I've got to find 5 more kitties. Well, we have cut up all these little pieces and whatnot. There are a gazillion little squares off to the side. I think this color story just looks absolutely delicious. First thing we're going to do is move all of this and grab some of these cute little squares over here. And we're going to get busy. We're going to snowball these corners. And they are easy work. All we're going to do is draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, tip to tip. And we've done this a million times before. It's actually one of my favorite techniques. I'm using a friction pin. You're going to flip it back so you won't see it. And I'm going to put this in the corner and I'm going to stitch directly on that line from tip to tip. And we'll do that in all 4 corners. So I'm from tip to tip and tip to tip. And then we'll come right back with this and we will trim away our excess. Nice and easy. Now we love this creative ruler for this because it's got that pretty little frosted 1/4 inch area, which I absolutely love. And I'm going to put this 1/4 inch mark right on that line. And we're going to cut away the excess. Rotate it around, do the same thing for all of our our corners. Then after that, we are going to press these seams open. Now we open these seams up. If you guys have ever seen me open up seams, I really do prefer to do it with my wood iron here before I hit it with the regular iron. It just opens up the seam, and that way I'm not pushing that hot iron through here and messing up some seams and that kind of thing. So I usually just run it on the seam prior to putting the actual iron on it. And as you all know, I love this little ironing board. I got it from Sarasota Sews. It's a $20 ironing board. Yes, shipping probably is going to be a little bit more. She tries to really work with everybody on that shipping, so she can get it to you for the cheapest price. But I tell you, this little ironing board is a showstopper. You take it to classes, people see it, it's a cutie patootie. And I'm just pressing all these open, and we are going to have the cutest little block ever when we flip it over. Isn't it cute? Oh, I'm loving how this is coming out already. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these. Something I will say is, you guys wonder how I move so quickly through stuff. And I chain piece. So I've sewn the one corner on to every single one that is needed. Now I will cut these all apart and sew the next one on. And I move pretty quickly when I do this. Chain stitching, which means I just never break the thread. I just keep going and going and going. So I'm going to make a pile again. And of course I'll have to do this 3 more times. So I'll just make another pile, and then I'll go back and do this side, cut them apart, go back and do the other side, and that helps me fly through this. So now we are going to take two smaller strips and sew it onto both sides of this larger strip. And this colorway, I know blue and red should not just tickle you, but it's the hue, like the actual color sitting together is so pretty to me. This is so gorgeous. I'm loving the way this is coming out. And we already have our blocks, our focal blocks, and if they're, oh, so cute, so cute. This is really cute. All right, we are going to just line this up nice and easy and line this up, and I will sew them both to this strip. I have sewn these to this blue strip, and then I went ahead and just pressed the seams open. And now we're going to subcut these down even smaller. Boy, this is so pretty to me. I know you guys are like, knock it off, but I'm just saying, something about this is just getting me giddy. I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't sewn in a long time. Now, like I said, we are subcutting. I am cutting off the selvage. I am using the new A Couture Crafting ruler just to see how I like it. I am just checking stuff and seeing how this works. I want to know, can this be used for things other than what I intended? Would we like it? Does it work? Can we see? All that kind of stuff. And there we have one little cutie patootie, and then I'm going to do this a gazillion more times all the way through this. Now, after cutting all of those cutie patootie cornerstone strips, we are going to grab another one of these strips, take off this. We're going to take off the selvage. And then we are going to put this right sides together, and I'm going to sew down this side here, leaving this attached. Now you guys might know, whenever I sew like this, I always try to put the strip right here, this strip with no seams on it, on the bottom, so that way I can keep these open. So I'm going to feed it in my sewing machine. I'm going to put it like this, and then when I take it to my sewing machine, I'm going to put it down this way. Just a tip, just so that you're not worried about these flipping on you. Now that I have sewn this, I am going to trim it even with this block. If this is going to be a show quilt, I suggest you measure your block, cut your strip, and then sew it so that you know that you're not getting any stretching or any buckling or anything like that. This is just going to be a cutesy one that I'm knocking out, but it's just a way to get the most accurate squared up block. But this will be fine. You'll be fine either way, but if you're looking for an accurate, clean, super clean block, measure this, cut your strip, pin it, sew it. Let's do this again, and trim off the excess. Now I'm going to press this open. Y'all know I love to do this first before I put any heat on there. Just drag it and then drag it like this. And then we'll come back with our next step. Now that we have our block done and we have our little cutie cornerstones ready, we are going to add them to both sides of the block. Make sure that all lines up. Be careful when you are adding this strip here. You have so many strips that are so similar to the same size. Just be sure that you're adding the proper size on. I'm not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. But just be sure this is the right size. This is so cute. All right, I'm sewing this to this to this, and then we'll be back. You guys know my drill. I'm a pinning girl, sort of. With this we're gonna pin because I want these to hit. Not that they will, but we're gonna try to make this go right. I saw the cutest pin cushion by Modern, what is it? Modern Vintage, the guy with the pretty clappers. Oh, so pretty. I think I took a short of them. Hopefully I will put it up so you guys can see it. All right, I'm pinning so that these intersections meet. I'll do the same thing for this side. Press this open and I'll be back. So you may be wondering, well, what happened if I sew the strips onto the sides as opposed to the top and bottom, like the instructions tell me to? Well, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Pay attention. We're not going to talk about it. Just, you know, we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to do this block and then we'll move on. This is going so cute. Like, it's ridiculous. I try not to zhuzh too hard. Like, I really do try to just stick to 3-yard quilt as they are intended with the 3 colors. I shouldn't say I try. Sometimes I do it because I think it's necessary just to do it as it is so that people can see it. But then sometimes I'm like, you just need to give it a little something to make it super pop. I want to add just a touch of that so bad. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel when we finish. All right, now we need our next block. Our next block is a smaller block, but we're going to use the same techniques that we used before, and we are going to get to snowballing. Each of these corners needs to be snowballed. Y'all know I love to snowball, and we've got all these squares to do it. So we're going to start on one side, then trim away, then do the next side, then trim away, so on and so forth. Let's get to it. To make this go faster, I'm just going to drop 2 like this, and I'm going to take these to the sewing machine just like this, that corner and this corner. And you're going to go this corner to this corner, and you're going to go this corner to this corner. You'll know you're doing it wrong if you're sewing toward right off the fabric toward this diagonal. That's wrong. You want to go here and here and here and here. Now that these 2 corners have been sewn, I'm going to cut away. We're going to cut with courage. I know this feels weird to people who don't do this all the time, but you know I love a good snowball. I love snowballing. Love it. I don't know why, but I do. Now we are going to open these up. Lots of opening up the seams. Somebody did a poll and asked, actually it wasn't a poll, it was just a question, what about quilting people don't enjoy? What parts of quilting don't they enjoy? And somebody said snowballing. I'm like, what? All day? Give me a second to press this open. I guess I could show you me pressing this open. And now I want to add a black and white stripe to the Hello Kitty. Just because I hate when I touch stuff. Did you guys see it happen? Did you feel it? Oh, that feels like it could kick it up a notch. I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. Or do I? I would love to add a little yellow and that black and white stripe, because black and white stripes makes everything better. Okay, now let's add these corners. Now I used my seam tape, but if you don't have seam tape, you go on ahead and draw your diagonal so that you know where to sew. Okay, draw your diagonal lines. It's just that this square is so small that I can actually use my diagonal seam tape for this. But it's the same technique as we used before, except for now we're going to put this and it's going to cross over. It's going to cross over and it's going to cross over right here. Okay? Cross over, no worries. Okay, I've sewn them. Now I'm going to cut with courage, because I know this seems weird, because now we've sewn over what we've already sewn. Make sure you're cutting away the right side. And don't forget, I'm using my 1/4 inch right there to be sure that I am not cutting directly on that line, because that will make a little bit of a mess. It'll make a lot of mess. I don't even know how to fix that mess right this second, so I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to open this side up. Oh boy, that looks beautiful. I'm going to grab my iron and hit it. And then I'm going to give you guys a close-up of what this back looks like so you can see. If you have a clapper, this is a great project to use it. So this is what the back looks like, with those open seams, and this is what the front looks like. Looks good, right? We've got a 1/4 inch away so that we can get busy. Doesn't that look great? I hope you can see it. I don't know what we're doing here. I hope it's doing what it's supposed to. All right, let me show you what the innards of this quilt are supposed to look like. You are supposed to have one of these next to one of these, next to one of these, and then another one. So you'll have 3 of these, 3 of the Hello Kitty, big Hello Kitties, and then 2 of these. And then the next row is going to be different. The next row, you will have this with one of those other cornerstones that we cut, where we fussy cut. This little guy. And then another one of these. Okay? And we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 of these big guys here. And then 3 of this row. And then we will be done. Can you? Oh my goodness, no, we won't be done. We'll be done with the innards. We won't be done. Then we're going to figure out how we're going to zhuzh it. I've got some ideas, so we shall see. If we're going to zhuzh or if we're just going to leave it alone. I don't know. This is mighty cute, though. I got very excited. I am laying out my first 2 rows, since all of these blocks are now done. And this is just the innards. You know, you've got to put the borders on and whatnot. But I think it is so cute the way it is coming out. Boy, I like this. I know I keep saying that I like my 3-yard quilt the most. It's my favorite, but I am Really digging this so much. So this is going to be my first 2 rows. Row 1, this is row 2, and we're going to do this row 4 times, and we're going to do this row 3 times, and then we are going to be cooking. Make sure that your fussy cut stuff is right side up, right side up. Other than that, I don't really see anything to really be concerned about. I don't see anything that needs to be matched up, which is great because I went ahead and pressed these. Initially I pressed them open, but then I just went ahead and pressed them to the outside because, again, I realized that I wasn't going to have to be matching them up with anything right here. All right, I'm going to just sew it all together. So, Hello Kitty is coming out so cute. So good. I am a fan. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they talked about how they make their quilts so couture. You see how there's a seam right here? This seam would have had to line up with this seam right here in order for them to have been okay. I get it. People are particular about what they are particular about. No judgment from me. Go you. I'm going to judge this hardcore. I am not a borders girly. Don't enjoy them. Do not enjoy putting them on. However, we're going to go super heavy. We are going to stack this quilt with borders. Why not? I'm going to do another black and white border. We're going to miter that bad boy, but we're going to miter it in the most couture fashion possible. We are going to take it there. This might be one of the greatest works of art, if I do it properly, that I've ever done. But I'm going to show you all the care that I'm going to take for this border to make it come out the way that I want it to, which is about to be absolutely insane. So, fine, no problem there. But I don't want black and white next to this blue. I don't like the way that it looks. I like black and white next to anything but the blue. I'll take the red, the yellow, whatever. So what I'm going to do is add either, I think it's going to be, I didn't get enough red fabric actually, so I know it's going to be a tiny, I want just a 1/4 inch of yellow right here. That's all I want it to be, is a 1/4 inch. No, maybe a half. I want a 1/2 inch of yellow poking out. So I'm going to do that with the yellow fabric, and then I'm going to add my mitered border, and then I'm going to add another border. Let's do it. Let's zhuzh. Here we go. I'm going to try to explain this the best I can, which is probably going to be a little funky, but again, I think this is about to be the most couture quilt that I've ever done because a lot of care is getting ready to go into how I do this. So I'm going to be working on the long sides, and because the camera cannot get into, you know, the whole whatever. But here's what we're doing in theory. In order for these to miter, so this is the extra border that I added. It's 1 inch, and by the time I finished, a 1/2 inch should be showing on that border. All the rest of the quilt is done according to plan. I'm going to add this because I just think it goes. It just works. And I wanted it to be a chunkier border because I'm making this quilt a little bit bigger. In order for this to miter properly and give us that 45 kind of look, I'm not 45ing this properly, to give us this 45 kind of look that does this, these need to be sewn at the same place. This is not a good 45. You get the picture though. In order for it to do the thing, right? It needs to be sewn at the same place in this corner and that corner. So both corners need to hit in the same spot. So what I mean is I'm going to figure out, I need a little overhang because you need overhang to do this properly. But I need this to start. Maybe I will just have it start and line up with this black line. I don't really care where, but it needs to be the same on this side and on that side. So if it's hitting this black right here, I need to make sure that this strip is hitting black in that exact same spot. So I'll count over, I don't know, I'll leave like 6 or 7, maybe like that, and put this black right here so that I know that it's going to hit in the same place as it will over here. Remember, when you're doing mitered corners, you're going to mark this little corner and you're going to stop 1/4 inch away. Then we're going to do the same exact thing with the strips that are going this way. But both sides need to line up in the exact same place. So what I'm going to do, figure out where I want them to line up on either side. Then I'm going to connect these how I always do, with 1/4 inch in the center so that it's continuous and you don't see the join. This is about to be insane. It's going to take me all night to do it. I'm okay with that. And it's the first time that I've tried to hit it on all the corners in the same way. It's the first time that I've really thought about it. When you have stripes that are, like, say they weren't running this direction, we would not be having this issue. If you were using solids that were sewn together and you wanted to miter that, we would not be having this issue. It's these black and white stripes that go this direction that cause the problem. But black and white stripes are life. So, and they're about to make this quilt look a little more sophisticated. It's going to elevate this quilt. So again, I am going to mark this, make sure there's some overhang here, make sure there's some overhang here, and make sure that there's some overlapping here so that I can cut this and join it. And then, oh my goodness, this is insane. I hope this makes sense. The main part is just that you want it to be identical on these sides. You want it to hit in the same spot, and then the same thing when they go this way. We can do this, not a big deal. It's gonna be okay. Well, I managed to get one side on clean. Now this is the long side, so bear with me because we don't have a whole bunch of room in here. But this is on. It's tight, it fits. I counted 12 from this black strip, right? And I counted 12 in, and I started it right at the edge, even though I didn't start sewing until you get right here. Make sure you backstitch. And I did the exact same thing on the other side. I counted in 12, put this, tried to line this up with the edge best as I could. It's pretty close. Now I'm looking at it, it's like a tinge, maybe less than 1/8. Not quite there. But it's pretty close. Oh, it's right. Okay. Then I overlapped the fabric that was left over here in the middle. And I can see that this is where I joined. I can see it just a hint here, but if I didn't point that out, I'm going to assume that that's pretty much undetectable to most people. And I feel really good about that. Now I need to do the exact same thing to the other side, and then the exact same thing to the top and the bottom. I don't have to count 12 out on that, but it doesn't matter because I still have to use 2 strips. So, and they need to, yeah, so it doesn't matter how many I count out. It is what it is. There will be some waste with some fabric on this, but if I were ever going to send a quilt to a show, this is the kind of work that I would put into it. So there's that. All right, let me do the rest of these and then miter these corners and move on with my life. So this is the last one. This is the short side. I have sewn the edges and we've started them in the same place. I've counted in 12 stripes and they've all started on the black. And now I'm just going to find where I'm going to sew it. So I folded this one back and that looks good. And then I've taken this one and folded it back. And the idea is to try to get this to be continuous. So if it's continuous on this side, it'll be continuous on the other side. Now I'm going to put these right sides together and sew on the line that I can see on the back of this fabric. I just need to make sure. See? And just like that, I lost it there. Which one I'm sewing on. Perfect. Perfect. And I'm just going to line these up on top of one another. And I'm going to sew directly on this line. I've sewn this together with this line right here. Then we are just going to check to see if it lays flat. And it does, no problem. It is undetectable for the most part. It's a little bit short on that stripe right there, but I think will live. So I'm going to cut away this about 1/4 inch and press it open, and then I will sew it down. And then I'll just keep sewing this down. So now they're all on and they're all pressed in opposite directions. I think the seams, the top ones are pressed this way, the outside ones are pressed inward. And now it's time to get our miter on. I need a good long ruler with a 45. It doesn't have to have a 45 on there actually, but I do need a ruler. All right, now I have my rulers. All I'm gonna do is take this one. Actually, I need a weight. Oh, and I have plenty of pattern weights. Where are those beautiful weights I have? These are the weights by Thanks I Made Them. Oh, I love these weights. Like, love them. Because quilts be tripping. They heavy and trying to fall off places. Okay. All I'm going to do is take this and put them right sides together and bring this down to meet it. We're going to fold this at a 45-degree angle. See? Bring them together. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. And we're going to fidget with it a little bit, zhuzh it. But the object of the game is to get these to match up. I'm going to give it a little tug there, a little tug here. I can see them lining up on top of one another. There it is. Throw this weight on here. There we go. And now it's not going anywhere. There's a 45-degree angle right here, and you can use that to draw your line or your angle however you would like. I'm going to hold it down just like that. And from this tip, I'm going to mark it. I'm going to throw a couple of pins in there, right on it, and come right up on it. Perfect. And then I'm going to sew that line. You can sneak peek to see if it's going to hit where you want it to, and mine looks like it is. Perfect. You can fold it back and iron it so that you have that crease in there. Remember, if you're using a friction pin, this line will disappear. But this looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and just sew that line. I've just opened this up to see what I've got. And I do have a mitered corner here. It looks good. It's laying flat, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but I guess it's going to have to be okay. It's right here where we are getting that little tip right there is just a smidgen off. I think we'll be okay. I have trimmed all the corners. I have pressed them open in the back. This is not kind of what you're going for. This is what you're trying to get when you flip it open and you see this. That's what you're looking for. Looks good. This quilt could be done, but I don't want to finish it like this. I want to keep going. We're going to just keep pushing and keep zhuzhing. So we've got this big focal image right here, but I want to carry it out there. The pattern called for this fabric to be in this position. I cut this one at 3.5. This yellow one here is at 1. And these two follow the pattern exactly. I'm going to add another very, very large border to this. I'm going to do, so if this one is finishing at 3, I'm going to do one that's 4.5, I think. So that finishes at 4. So it's going to be an inch bigger. And I'm going to fussy cut some more of these kitties in a big, in a big square, so that we continue it that way, so that we're repeating it. This alone like this could be cute, and my big 4-inch border could mess this up, but we shall see. And we'll also see if I have enough fabric to do that, because this has grown a bit, so I think I'll be fine. But yep, I'm thinking I'm about to cut some 4.5-inch strips, and then we're going to cornerstone this fabric. So the exact same thing that I did with these guys in this way, I'm going to do that fussy cutting with a 4.5-inch square. Should be fine. I am loving how this is looking, this layered look, and then once about a 1/4 inch of this is gone, it's going to be really cool. If you have never seen how to do a cornerstone, this border is finished. So this is border number, I don't know what number this is, border number like 10 million. So this is border number 4. Once you're finished putting border number 4 all the way together, you're going to measure border number 5 to the width of it. And you're going to mark it and cut it off, and then you're going to sew your cornerstones to the sides. Now make sure you've got them, the right orientation if you fussy cut stuff. Your cornerstone and this border should be the same. I'm going to sew a cornerstone to each side after I've cut it, okay? Then I'm going to put the side borders on. I'm going to sew the side borders on, the same as number 5. I'm going to put them on the sides. Then after we're all finished and we've pressed those, then we'll add the bottom and the top, okay? That's the process. Now we have the border sewn on, the yellow border, but the top and the bottom are not on, just so you guys get an idea of how to do this when you want to do cornerstones. Sew on the sides first, not the top and the bottom. I'm getting ready to put the top on now, and be sure that it's right side up. This came out absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the size of it is awesome. 3-yard quilts can be a little smaller. And so depending on which one, throwing on some borders is a great way to obviously make them bigger without doing more blocks, and probably a little faster than doing some blocks. But this looks so cool. I am so pleased with how this all came out. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to catch everybody